You spend weeks optimizing a campaign, dial in the ad spend, and successfully drive a wave of shoppers to your product page. They start browsing, they consider the offer, and then they leave. The window closes, and a potential sale vanishes. When a customer abandoned their cart, they rarely send an email explaining why. They leave behind a frustrating silence, and you are left staring at a declining conversion rate without any clear explanation for why the journey stopped. Most businesses react to this silence by guessing. They rely on assumptions, which leads to slashing prices or commissioning an expensive, unnecessary redesign. But those customers provided high-resolution feedback before they left. It just wasn't in the form of a written review or a survey response. High-performing operators ignore assumptions. Instead, they look for the digital behavior patterns left behind as users consume information on the page.
Relying on guesswork to understand why a cart was abandoned ensures a business will spend its resources fixing the wrong problem. To see exactly where a shopper's momentum stalled, you have to look at specific behavioral metrics: reading patterns, scroll depth, and click tracking. When you aggregate these interactions, you get a literal map of human attention. This thermal heat map shows where interest is concentrated, transitioning from intense red at the top down to deep blue at the footer. Tracking scroll depth reveals the horizontal threshold where a customer lost interest. For those users, everything below that line essentially ceased to exist. Image interaction and video engagement metrics highlight the specific visual elements that successfully retained focus, keeping the user anchored to the page. By tracking which sections were frequently expanded, like drop-down menus or technical tabs, you can see the specific supplementary information customers were hunting for. These tools transform an empty, abandoned page into a precise, measurable timeline of a buyer's declining confidence. These digital patterns reveal specific friction points. For instance, recordings often show visitors repeatedly pausing and lingering at a technical specification section before they eventually exit. This behavior suggests the information in that section is poorly explained or too complex to parse, forcing the shopper to stop and think rather than move toward the purchase. This chart compares scroll depth against the page's layout. The line represents the percentage of visitors still on the page, and it drops to near zero before it ever reaches the high-impact customer reviews at the bottom. In this scenario, the most persuasive content is buried. When those positions are swapped and the reviews are moved higher up the page, the user retention line flattens, keeping more people on the page for longer. Both the confusing specifications and the buried reviews are symptoms of a broken information hierarchy. Information hierarchy is the measure of structural friction. It is the amount of effort a customer must expend to find the answers they need to make a decision. Abandonment is often a failure of sequencing. The product might be perfect, but the information about it arrived in the wrong order. Observing user attention provides a data-driven path forward, replacing the old habit of redesigning pages based on internal office opinions. Effective operators implement a strict monthly cadence for reviewing their user behavior recordings and analytics. The sole objective of this review is to identify the first point on the page where visitor engagement consistently drops off. Once identified, the strategy is a surgical fix. Improve only that failing section. You don't need to start the entire page over if you can fix the specific moment where you are losing people. This targeted approach reduces friction. Customers find their answers faster and navigate the page with a higher sense of certainty. When you provide that certainty, conversion rates naturally increase as a byproduct of a smoother shopping experience. Mastering information hierarchy is the most direct way to increase sales without changing a single price or spending more on advertising.